secret that will help you to be able to communicate confidently and concisely under pressure as a leader. In this video, I'm going to share with you the number one secret that you need to have if you are a woman in leadership, or perhaps you are a man in leadership, or maybe you're thinking about becoming a leader. You need this in order for you to be able to communicate and speak under pressure. Now, you want to watch this video until the end because this secret I'm going to share with you will make you think a bit differently about those very challenging situations that you might be undergoing in the wonderful world of leadership. Now, if you are new to me, welcome, welcome. I'm glad that you are here. And if you are one of my amazing subscribers, welcome back. I'm so glad that you are here. And I am here to provide you with advanced, next level, rarely discussed communication skills that will absolutely set you apart from everyone else as a leader. If you are in my direct target audience that I provide executive coaching and consultation services to, which are women in leadership, I'm glad that you're here. If you are outside of my target audience, such as a man in leadership or someone that is not a leader just yet, I guarantee you're going to learn something from this channel that will make you stand out from everybody else. So I welcome all of you being here. This is a live video, therefore there is a point in time where the audience will join. Give me just a few moments so I can say hello to everyone, and I want to make sure that you get this secret in your mind today because this is a very different way for you to think about communicating under pressure. Now, if you are new to my channel, this is what we talk about. We talk about challenging situations. How should you communicate? When should you communicate? What should you say? What should you not say? How should you look? How should you not look? What is your body language doing that you want it to do, that it shouldn't be doing? All of that. So if you're trying to communicate at a higher level, then this is the best place for you. And the fact that you clicked on this video means you're supposed to be here, friend. You are at a place where you are elevating as an individual, and especially how you are communicating as a leader. And my topics of my videos are very, very specific to a certain kind of individual. So I'm glad that you're here. Now, many people ask me, I wish I could think on my feet. I wish I could control my facial expressions. Well, I have something for you. There are several videos that are here on my YouTube channel that specifically talk about how you can communicate confidently under pressure. There's videos that talk about thinking on your feet, your eye contact, your body language, and etc. All of that will be able to provide you with some insight in terms of some strategies that can help you to get started. But today we're going to talk about number one. There's a lot of things that go into communicating under pressure, which is something I talk about on my channel. That's the purpose of my channel. But there's one secret. There's one secret, just one, that if you have this secret, it will set you up for success, even if you still are working through some of the other aspects of communicating under pressure that I talk about here on the channel. So I want to say hello to those of you who have joined the live today. Let me know what part of the big, beautiful world you are joining from today. And if you would like to know a secret, the number one secret at that, to being able to speak more confidently under pressure. If this sounds of interest to you, you absolutely want to watch this video to the end. And I would highly recommend for you to consider subscribing to this channel, because this is where you're going to learn how to communicate at a higher level than your peers, earn more money, make a bigger impact in the world, and do the amazing things that you want to do. It all starts with the way you communicate. So let me know in the comments below what questions you have specifically about this, and have you ever been in a situation where you've had to communicate under pressure? What happened? How did it work out for you? Let me know in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Now, the number one secret, as I mentioned, to helping you be able to communicate more confidently and concisely under pressure is to make sure that you are responding in an objective way. Now, you may be wondering, why am I saying objective way? Doesn't it matter how we speak and how we sound and what we say and all that? Yes. All of that matters tremendously. However, if you are not able to respond in an objective way, and you respond in a very highly emotional, highly charged way, depending on the scenario, because there are times, I will say, where you need to show emotions, absolutely, in your responses, depends on your situation. But if you can respond in an objective way, then when you are communicating with other people in those very under pressure like situations, then you will automatically appear as if the person who is actually thinking through the process, not the person that is being highly emotional about it. Now, one of the things that happens a lot of times in the wonderful world of leadership is that we are thrown with different scenarios and situations. So I want to know from those of you watching, what type of challenging leadership situations have you been a part of? What have you been struggling with as a leader? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Let me know, because most of the time when you're in those very challenging situations, it makes it very, very difficult for you to communicate objectively. Why? Because there's a lot of emotions going on in our minds in terms of what we're thinking, in terms of what we're processing. So this is something that will help you if you are trying to speak under pressure. Being objective is the number one strategy that you absolutely have to have when you are trying to speak under pressure. So for those of you joining, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here today. Let me know if you've ever struggled with having a conversation or speaking to people when you are in a very high pressured, high stakes situation as a leader. Put it in the comments below. Let's talk about it. As I mentioned, there's a lot of skills that will help you to become a better communicator and help you to communicate better when you're under pressure. But the foundation has to start with what you're thinking about here. When someone comes and says something to you that might be argumentative or trying to discredit you or trying to make you just simply look bad in front of other people, if you respond in a highly emotional way, it shows that there's a certain amount of constraint or control that you may not have as a leader. Now you may be thinking, but what if it makes me mad? What if it makes me mad and I'm really upset and I don't like what someone says? Well, that's okay. You can think that in your mind, but what you say needs to mirror what an executive or a leader or a business leader, a public official, a senior executive, a manager, director, it needs to mirror the way that you want people to perceive you as a leader. So if you take a few moments and think about, how do you want people to perceive you as? Do you want people to perceive you as the leader that just gets very highly emotional when things are heated? Or do you want to be the person that is perceived as the individual that is a bit more calm, a bit more relaxed when situations happen? You have to think about it, because that will absolutely dictate the way you want to respond. Now, if you want to be that leader that is the individual that is very highly charged, everything that comes out of your mouth is an elevated tone of voice or very aggressive, then that's the leader you want to be. That's fine. There are leaders like that, and there are pros and cons of communicating in that way. However, if you want to be a bit more calmer as a leader, then that's your choice too. How you respond when you're under pressure truly does indicate the way that people are going to perceive you. As I mentioned, being objective, whether you want to be that person that is the more loud, or I would say a bit more debatable type of person, you still have to respond objectively when you are under pressure. You still have to respond in a very objective way. If you don't, it makes it very, very difficult for other people to truly understand what you're saying and for them to see you as someone who can hold it together, so to speak, when you are in a very, very challenging and very complex situation. Now, I want to know from you, what is the most challenging conversation that you have had that ended up being a bit emotional for you? I have my own conversation that I had where I showed emotion, but I did it intentionally to prove a point. Let me give you an example. When I worked in a senior leadership role long time ago, I was placed in a situation that was, I would say, very, very compromising to me as a leader. I was encouraged to make decisions that would ultimately affect the profitability of the specific area that I was monitoring or I was managing at the time. And in the conversation, I showed emotion because I felt like what was being asked of me was so beyond ridiculous. Why would you want me to cause this particular area to lose money for the sake of some other conversations that happen? I showed emotion. And as I mentioned, there's strategic times when you want to show emotion and when you don't. For the most part, you want to be more controlled in your responses, but there are times when you showed emotion. Now, that one conversation I had where I showed emotion was out of the norm for me because normally I'm not the person that gets very, I would say, animated in terms of when I'm speaking to other people, especially in a pressure situation. But sometimes you have to present yourself in that way. You still have to be objective, but sometimes you have to present yourself in that way where people will notice and they determine that, oh, wait, this person is acting differently. Because after that conversation, the dynamics I had with the other people that I work with that were peers at the time and that were senior leaders like myself, the dynamics completely changed. And for good reason, because I showed emotion because what was happening made no sense. And I responded, excuse me, in a very objective way. I asked specifically, so you are telling me you want me to make this particular area or a situation, department, building, facility to lose money. And the people I were with didn't like that. And so ultimately, that's what I had to do because there always is a point in time when you are communicating under pressure where you're more controlled in terms of how you respond, you're more measured, and you think about what you have to say. But then ultimately, sometimes your authentic self needs to present itself in those situations. You should always be your authentic self. But everybody, and let me know if you've been in these situations as a leader before, everybody goes through a time, a situation, a conversation, a circumstance where you are being questioned to do something that is not ethically right. And how you respond to that situation not only showcases your executive presence to other people, but it also helps you internally to make the right decision. We've all been in situations like that. If you've been in senior leadership for any length of time, you have been in a situation where you have felt like this is something that ethically doesn't make sense and I don't like it. And when you have those situations come up, that is an ideal time for you to be able to express emotion. People do ask me this oftentimes, and let me know in the comments below, when do you express emotions when you have something going on that you're concerned about? But people ask me all the time, how can I express emotion? When do you express emotion? What type of situation should you do it in? When should you not? And so I'm going to give you a bonus. If it is a situation where you feel morally and ethically that what is being said, what is being discussed, what you're being asked to do is wrong, that is the ideal time for you to show emotion. Best time for you to show emotion. Because sometimes in these very high stakes conversations, you are going to find yourself in a situation where you have to draw a literal line in the sand. And if you don't draw a line in the sand, then the people you are speaking with will say, oh, she just went along with it, or he just went along with it. And if it's something that you feel like is not correct, it's not right, you have to speak up. You have to speak up. And that is a perfect time for you to show emotion. But when you show emotion, that doesn't mean you just go off. You can, as I mentioned, there's plenty of leaders out there. And I know you see leaders in the world stage, or perhaps in your businesses, or perhaps in your organizations you work for that just completely just lose it, right? There's people out there like that. However, you can still show emotion and you can still show that you're concerned. There's different ways to do that. If you are a woman in leadership and you are navigating some very complex or very high stakes conversations, you absolutely want to reach out to me for a strategy session in the description below. Let's talk about where you are and how I can help support you to navigate and communicate and elevate how you are speaking in front of your peers. However, as I mentioned, there are some times where you show emotion, but you still have to be doing the number one secret that I shared with you all, which is to be objective in terms of how you respond. In my situation specifically, what I did, and I tell you all this candidly, I raised my voice. I intentionally raised my voice. Now, I did not yell because I don't think that's professional, but my voice was different than my baseline. Now, you may be wondering, what do you mean by baseline? What does that mean? I talk about this on my YouTube channel, so you want to subscribe to the channel and take a look at a couple of my videos that talk about tone of voice. I'm not going to go into it specifically here, but my baseline is what people know in terms of how I communicate. When you elevate your baseline or lower your baseline, people pay attention because they're thinking, wow, what's going on? This person is not communicating the way they normally communicate with us. I need to pay attention. And that's what I did. I intentionally raised my voice and elevated my voice to a way to where it was a bit more audible than what it normally is. And that is why the dynamics of the conversation completely changed because of the way that I responded. But as I mentioned, it was a situation where I felt like I was asked to be doing something that was morally and ethically wrong. Why would I cause a specific area to lose money when I'm helping this area to make money for some conversations that were made that I didn't have any part of? That was me. That's how I respond. This is how I communicate. And I will guarantee you that when you are at a situation where you can respond objectively, not out of pure emotion, but be able to use your emotions strategically, it will be able to help you control the conversation and lead it in the direction you want it to go. Whether you are speaking in front of a conference, whether you're pitching to investors, whether you're having a conversation with other people, there's times when you show emotion. Another bonus I'm going to share with you. When you are truly excited about something, that is another time you want to show emotion. Because if you are very excited about something, people need to feel that excitement. Even if you're speaking in front of a group of people, whether you are speaking in front of your board, your business associates, your constituents, your direct reports, your colleagues, if you want to engage your audience, there has to be some emotion there. How many of you have ever been in a situation where you have spoken or heard someone speak and you felt like they just were the most boring speaker ever? Let me know in the comments below. I want to say hello to Caden Denisi. I believe I said it correctly. If I did not, I apologize. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well today. And Caden says, I have. Yes, we all have situations like this because people just talk. They just keep talking and you're just wondering, like, what are they talking about? If you show some emotion, this is what will absolutely help you to be able to engage your audience, and not only engage your audience, but to shift the dynamics of any conversation, especially if it's high stakes. I want to say hello to Jeremy Bullwinkle 3972. Welcome back, Jeremy. How are you doing today? Jeremy says, hello, Dr. Jacinta. I remember a time in my past when my ex-wife and I were dating, and I remember her grandmother telling her to get that bass out of her voice. Well, interesting that you said that, Jeremy, because notice what happened. If someone is highly observant, and this is what we talk about on the channel, if they're highly observant, they can pick up on when there is, as Jeremy mentioned, bass in someone's voice, meaning that there may be a form of disgust or annoyance that someone has. They can pick up on that pretty quickly. And these are the skills that we talk about, and I appreciate the heart emojis, friends. These are the skills that we talk about on this channel because you have to be very intently, as I say, observant in terms of what someone is saying and how they are saying it. I'm telling you, leaders, you will be able to learn how to read people by listening very carefully to how they say it, when they say it, what their facial expressions are doing, and etc. So for example, what Jeremy mentioned, what happened is the grandmother noticed there was bass. Grandmother could pick up quickly and say, oh, is there an attitude? Has that ever happened to any of you before? It's happened to me, especially as a child. We've all been there, okay? We've all been there where we've had maybe a bit of attitude talking to our parents or talking to our caregivers or whatever, and they will let us know really quickly, Don't do that. The same process goes in terms of you being a leader. I personally will share with you that I did not have a mentor, and I appreciate the heart emojis. I did not have someone share with me, these are the skills you need to learn to communicate at a higher level, or these are the skills that you need to learn to be able to communicate in those very high stakes, under pressure type situations. Whether you're in an interview, a salary negotiation, a board meeting with your business, or etc. I wasn't taught how to do that. I was not. And so what I'm sharing with you in my over 20 years of being in these senior level executive roles is what I had to learn, the mistakes I had to make to help you not make those mistakes and help you be able to stand out from everybody else. So Kaden Denise says, yes, exactly. So this is something that actually can happen. And you can use what Jeremy mentioned to identify when someone has an attitude. The next time you have a conversation, I appreciate the heart emojis. The next time you have a conversation with someone and it's in a leadership role, or maybe you're not doing it in a leadership role, but I focus heavily on leadership here. Listen to how they're responding. If it's something you're telling them and they don't like it, they're going to let you know. And the reason why is because most people are not trained or not shown how to pick up on these subtle gestures, verbal and nonverbal, that most people, they just simply don't know how to do. So if you're watching this video and you're subscribed to my channel, you already know you're going to be at a heightened level. And I appreciate the 100s, friends. You're going to be at a very heightened level in terms of how you communicate with other people for that reason. Because most people do not know how to communicate at that higher level, and they just communicate as they feel, right? They communicate as they feel, what they want to say, how they want to say it. But you, on the other hand, are going to be able to read people, because you're going to be able to pick up, as Jeremy said, if there's bass in their voice or not. And most of the time, if there's some form of bass in the voice, they're probably not too happy. So what do you do with that information? That is why you subscribe to the channel, or you work with me directly, and I will help you be able to navigate those real-time situations when they come up, when you see the voice change. This is what I do on this channel. This is what I love to do. I love being here and supporting you all and helping you stand out from everybody else. So I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the heart emojis and the 100s. I'm glad to be a part of your evening today, or morning, depending on what time of the day you're watching this. But let me know how I can support you. Let me know what questions you have. I'm known for dealing with the hard things. So if you have a hard situation, very complex situation going on right now in your role as a leader in your organization, if you're a woman in leadership, then you're welcome to work with me directly in terms of my executive coaching and consultation practice. If you're a man in leadership, let me know in the comments below. I'm here to support you. I will do a video just for you and talk about whatever it is that you have going on and help you determine some type of strategy to help navigate sometimes these very challenging situations, so that when you have those hard conversations, you're not the person that looks like you know nothing and you don't know how to handle yourself. You're going to be the person that stands out from everybody else, and everybody says, you know what? That person has it together. Let me make sure I listen to what they have to say. So I hope this information provided you with some value today. As I mentioned, the number one secret you need to have to speak under pressure is you have to respond objectively. Everything else matters. Your tone of voice, your eye contact, all the videos I have here on my YouTube channel, particularly in my live tab, will help you to do this. However, if you can respond in an objective way, even if you decide you need to show emotions, you still will come out as a person that has it together. I appreciate you all so much. Let me know what topics you're dealing with, what you want to learn more about. Watch any of my videos, put it in the comments below. You're always welcome to contact me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and here as well. Let me know what you're dealing with. I will support you any way that I can. And feel free to like this video. It does allow it to get out to more people, so that more people will start learning how to communicate at a higher level. And before I go, I want to say hello, Richard Smith. Welcome back, Richard. How you doing today? Richard says, good evening from Northeast Ohio. Radiant, wonderful lady with the soothing, therapeutic voice. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Richard. And good to see you back here. I'm glad that you're here again. We're just wrapping up the live. And if you just joined, The number one secret, Richard, because I know you come to the channel quite a bit, is to make sure that you are responding objectively when you're under pressure. Number one. But as you know on the channel, there's a lot more things that go into it besides just that one. All right, we have Yusef Dag says, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yes, hello, welcome. Well, I appreciate you all being here today. Feel free to let me know what questions or what challenges you're facing right now in terms of communication. As a leader, I'm here to support you, and I will see you all in the next video. And I appreciate the heart emojis, and I hope you all do well. Richard Smith, before I go, says, yes, I will respond objectively. Absolutely. Everything else matters, but your mindset matters the most, especially, Richard, when you're under pressure, because sometimes it can bring out a lot of emotions, as we all know. I've been there. Other people have too. So I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.